Cal, but we are both diehard Packers fans.
I could talk about this for hours.
He was my legend. He was my quarterback one. Taysom Hill, forever in my heart.
You have a kind of a reputation of being the young and diehard fans. How was that, Dr. Pepper Taysom?
Amazing.
Okay, good. Let's keep it under 25 minutes, all right?
What is happening, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Underage Packers podcast. This is episode 88, and we wanted to go live here on this lovely Saturday as tomorrow the Green Bay Packers return to Lambeau Field for Week 10 of the NFL season to take on the NFC Seattle Seahawks. Big B, how you feeling today?
Pretty good. Very excited for Sunday. It's going to be another great game, of course, because I feel like every game against Seahawks, somehow it ends up being a game to remember, shall I say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, after that, like from 2010 to 2015, since the Packers and the Seahawks were always first in their division, they always ended up playing each other. And there are plenty of matches there. And then even recently, we had the divisional playoff match that you were in town for.
Yep.
And then a lot of the opener a few years ago. So there has been quite a few exciting matches against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks haven't been able to keep their reign, keep the strong teams they had back in the early 2010s when Russell Wilson was a new shiny toy for Pete Carroll, and they had the Legion of Boom defense. But now they are 3-5 on this season. They've been dealing with some injuries to their quarterback, Russell Wilson, and he is returning this week to play with his thumb injury. We all saw it happen live against the Rams on Monday night, a few weeks yonder. And it was pretty ugly, pretty disgusting. I don't want to see that happen again.
It wasn't that bad. Come on.
I mean, yeah, I guess compared to some injuries we've seen on the field, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like, especially like in basketball, I remember quite a while back, some dude's like kneecap literally was poking out. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. And then like also during a preseason game, some Cowboys wide receiver had his ankle literally twist. So I guess Russell Wilson's finger injury doesn't even crack the top 10 on ugly injuries to watch. But we got more to talk about than just the Seattle Seahawks. And I wanted to start it off with a hilarious tweet that I put out on the Underage Packers podcast Twitter. Make sure you're following us, by the way. But yesterday, and we'll get to talk about OBJ as well.
Oh, wonderful. Yay. That's all I want to talk about.
In this Odell Beckham Jr. drama, Jordan Schultz for ESPN. I've never heard of him before. I don't watch ESPN, though. But Jordan Schultz, he is the main guy on this, and he has sources telling him something every 30 seconds. Sources. God, this was so hilarious yesterday, or this kind of Thursday and Friday period where OBJ was still making up his mind. Adam Schefter was saying that he signed with the Rams. Kim Jones of NFL Network was saying, oh, he's still on the fence between the Packers and the Rams, and Adam Schefter was just like doubling down, he was like Kim Jones was still saying he still hasn't made up his mind, and then Adam Schefter like 5 seconds later was like tweeting out the new wide receiver court for the Rams. He was like, he's signed with the Rams. Gosh darn it. Schefter ended up being right, obviously, but basically, Jordan Schultz, ESPN guy, he's tweeting out all these sources, and he said yesterday that Mark Murphy was the main reason that OBJ didn't end up coming to the Green Bay Packers because he was being Murphy was being too conservative with the money that the Packers have very little of in terms of contract negotiations, which doesn't really make sense because while Mark Murphy might be involved some part in football operations and actual contract negotiations, the main person that would be doing that, involved in that, would be Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball. And later, Schultz rephrased that and said just the front office and not Mark Murphy after deleting the Mark Murphy tweet. But obviously, him saying that Mark Murphy was pretty much the GM of the Packers spawned some great moments on Packers Twitter. People blaming Mark Murphy for everything. So, you know us at the Underage Packers podcast. We love our super niche references. We don't like to talk about Tom Fanning. We like to talk about beat reporters here on the Underage Packers podcast. So, I put out there on the Underage Packers Twitter that Evan Siegel, who is the Packers team photographer, I met him, real nice guy. I said, Evan Siegel, Mark Murphy's top advisor, really wanted the team to go out there and sign Odell Beckham, but Murphy would just not budge. And obviously, a lot of people see that and like, oh, Evan Siegel, he must be some guy important. I need to have an opinion on this. I need to sound smart here. And,
Yep.
I think I might have made it like maybe a little too hard. But what it also should have gave it away that this was a joke, a parody, was the fact that I said first year GM Mark Murphy. Like, if you can't tell that, like, sure, if you don't know who Evan Siegel is, sure, I won't consider you a casual if you don't know who that is. But if you see Mark Murphy first year GM and you just glance over like, yep, then you kind of have a problem. So I just wanted to showcase some of the greatest replies to people who weren't quite aware here. So there's that original tweet. We got. I probably should have just taken screenshots and not shown these people's actual usernames. Let me find a way. I wish I could. There we go. All right. And you see, he has always treated Packers money like it's his own. I mean, he is the president to a certain extent. It is his own. This one's perfect right here. So many people missing the joke. Whoosh. Yeah, this whole thread is perfect for the r/whoosh thread on Reddit. I can picture that. Kevin Spice says he's like, that darn old Murphy, always ignoring his advice. Let's see here. I don't believe you. Time for an owners meeting. Nobody cares. Odell ain't been worth the hype since his first 3 seasons. And that surprise too. Oh, Mark Murphy, you know him. Not listening to Evan Siegel ever. Worst first year GM never, ever.
Oh my.
Let's see here. Man, not gonna lie, I really hate Mark. And then, this dude, I always love him because he has a lot of troll takes here. I don't know if he's serious or not, but he says, good for once, Murphy's ignorance pays off. Who needs a diva? Thank God Mark Murphy didn't listen to his advisor this time.
Oh, man.
So I definitely recommend checking out that thread because there's so much gold over there on Packers Twitter right now. Anyways, now we'll get into a little bit about the Seahawks. What are your thoughts on this whole OBJ situation outside of our general manager, Mark Murphy?
Well, I'm glad it was over.
Yep.
It was very interesting couple of days on Twitter. Felt like everybody with a check mark had some type of source to throw out there. Felt like this off season with Aaron Rodgers and literally everybody with a blue check mark had something to say from their sources. I'm actually kind of glad he's not a Packer. Yes, I wanted him, of course. Great football player. Take the offense to a whole nother stratosphere that we've been waiting for, but I'm glad he's not on the team.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I don't know how much. I'm not gonna say, he's some locker room cancer because I don't know firsthand. And there's definitely teammates from the Browns and the Giants that liked him, but at the same time, he seemed to tear apart the Browns and the Giants in some shape or form. I don't want a guy whose dad is literally over here on YouTube posting some NFL Game Pass screen recordings of Baker Mayfield missing him open. That's not carrying the G there.
That is not.
Even if it's just his dad, we'll stay away from that. The Rams can have him. they can go all in. And what was really interesting to me, obviously, you mentioned all the people having their sorts. Jordan Schultz, good God, we should just name this episode the Jordan Schultz Experience. But Jordan Schultz also said that OBJ didn't think the Packers were all in enough on him, which doesn't make sense now what we know now, because
Yeah.
literally just because the Rams didn't offer the vet minimum because they could somehow afford to, but the Packers could not. Excuse me. Dak Pepper makes you do some wild things, but
Oh yeah.
but yeah, and then people were like, "Oh, again, the classic take: Packers just don't want to win." And really, I don't really care if OBJ doesn't think the Packers are all in, and more importantly, I don't really care what Jordan Schultz says Odell Beckham Jr. thinks. All right, if
Yeah.
Odell thinks that because he had a 30-minute conversation with Brian Gutekunst or had a 10-minute conversation with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, then we'll let him think that. All right. And the Packers are all in to an extent in a way that most people don't understand. And it's hard to explain the idea of they're trying to keep the exact same team around that didn't get it down last year. But, that's okay. OBJ can think what he wants. People can think that the Packers don't want to win, even though they're probably going to be 13-4 or something greater than that this year once again for the third time in a row.
Oh,
But that's whatever. Odell Beckham now with LA Rams. He'll be at Lambeau Field in 2 weeks for what should be a great match between the Packers and the Rams.
one thing I want to add before we move on, because I want to move on, but just something I've been thinking about is this offseason, Packer fans are saying, "Oh my God, this wide receiver depth is amazing. We have such a amazing wide receiver core." And once a diva of a receiver comes on to the free agency market, we're saying, "Oh my God, we need him. Oh my God, everybody else is trash. Oh my God, Randall Cobb. Oh my God, MVS." Like, just crazy how things change very fast in Packer world.
Yeah, and I completely get, like, obviously he's a good talent,
Yes.
and
yes.
they can be like you can be saying this is a good wide receiver core, but OBJ is a good player. But more people I saw were taking the route that you were saying of our wide receiver core sucks anyways, so we really need him now. Like, no, they just
Yeah.
haven't. All three of the starters haven't been really healthy at all at the same time. So that's going to be that's always going to be an irritating thing.
Yes.
Until they draft a first round wide receiver in the next every year for the next 5 years, people aren't going to really shut up about that. So that's whatever.
Yep.
Now let's try to move on here, because I put out a video earlier today that I recorded last night, and it was literally, I think the original cut of it before I edited it down was 30 minutes, because I talked a lot about special teams. So, it was on,
Lord.
and I was talking about how the Packers improved from the 2020 season, because the Packers 2020 team was possibly the best since 2010, 2014. Definitely one of the best of that Aaron Rodgers has ever played with. They couldn't get it done. And you want improvement when the only two losses are Corey Linsley and really maybe Christian Kirksey as the only two starters he lost.
Jamal Williams!
How could I
The
forget?
GOAT!
Okay. So they only lose 3 starters. My dearest
There we go.
apologies. Big B.
Yes.
And so you're expecting them to retain everybody, and you hope to see some improvement. You don't want, I mean, if they are, you'd rather have them play at a consistent level, the same level as last year, than downgrade, but you'd hope to see some improvement. And through 9 games, I think it's still hard to say really if this roster can play better than 2020, because we haven't seen this roster to its full potential. And I don't think we really are until maybe sometime in the playoffs, because I see a lot of people getting hopeful that, once this defense is playing really good right now, but wait till Za'Darius and Jair get back. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think we're going to see this Packers defense to its full potential in some time. And we might never, because of what might happen this offseason, unfortunately. So people might need to accept this defensive group at least for what it is. I think Jair Alexander might make a return soon. However, I mean, Matt LaFleur, the way he phrased it, he seemed like Za'Darius might be returning kind of what was the optimistic situation when we first heard that he'd be out for a while, an extended length of time after some back surgery. Looks like Za'Darius might be back in a few weeks before the regular season ends. And then Jair, though, might be longer than initially thought, because they're still going to try to avoid shoulder injury or shoulder surgery, but it's keeping them out for some time, and it's not going to be any time, at least before the bye week in week 13, I'd say, before Jair returns. Hopefully, if both of them are back after the bye week, that would be absolutely incredible. It doesn't seem like that's in the books as of right now, but we'll see what changes. Kind of get sparse updates from Matt LaFleur every now and again, and then we'll have to see. Hopefully, Jair and Za'Darius make a return at some point. But that's the injuries. The defense has obviously strongly improved from 2020. Even that kind of final run the team was on, the defense was on from like week 11 to week 17. That defense played some really good football, especially in the running game. And then even they've improved from that with new defense coordinator Joe Barry now. So the defense has improved. And then the offense, though, they've also been facing a ton of injuries. And I think every single week or two, it's kind of been missing another guy, missing another two. Okay, this is finally a chance. Aaron Rodgers gets COVID. Okay, it's Jordan Love now. Josh Myers is out. David Bakhtiari is finally returning, but is he actually going to play this week against Seattle? So, still, once again, we don't know what this offense is fully capable of. But Big B, what do you think as of now, comparing the 2020 Packers to the 2021 Packers team?
What I think, well, the defense is way better than it was at this. Way better. How much? How am I trying to say this? Way better this year than it was last year at this point in the season. That's what I was trying to say. And I feel like it's better than it was even when they were fantastic last year in that final stretch. So I think that's if we had this defense last year, I think we would have won the NFC Championship game and won the Super Bowl potentially, because Chiefs did nothing in that Super Bowl, which is very frustrating. What are you gonna say? See your mind spinning.
Yeah. I didn't, because I never thought of it really that way. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but I've thought of, how good this team would be, how good a team would be if it had the 2021 Packers defense paired with the 2020 Packers offense. Like, I mean, they would have walloped through the Buccaneers at Lambeau Field. And they could, like, how close that team was winning that game with the defense being virtually invisible that first half. So a lot better football out of some guys that were on the team last year. Dean Lowry,
baby.
Linsley Keke, Kevin King even, and Chandon Sullivan. Did I say Dean Lowry?
Dean Lowry.
Let's
go.
And then also some new additions. You have Devondre Campbell playing like one of the best inside linebackers in the league. Rasul Douglas coming in here as an injury supplement, and he's also playing incredible football for what he is. So this defense, I hope they can continue it, and then the offense has to. I think they really haven't gotten into quite a groove yet, just because things have been so in flux. I love this comment from Matt Mamba. This is fantastic. Give me the 2021 defense, 2020 offense, and 2019 ability to stay healthy. Please. That is like the perfect trifecta
Yes.
of the teams Matt LaFleur has put out there. The 2019 team had little to no injuries at all. And if they were like so minuscule. And like even last year, the Packers had no problems with COVID at all. And now we're in a stretch like Jordan Love had COVID and Jay Sternberger at like early training camp. And then they had the little situation before the 49ers game with Jamal and Aaron Jones. But other than that, they completely escaped COVID. And now this year, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Kurt Benkert, three important guys, really important to the Packers' success. Kurt Benkert, most important, obviously. So, yeah, that 2019 team just escaped injuries all the time. So, and the 2021 team certainly has not. Anyways, that's enough dreaming of what could be. Hopefully, these next few weeks, Packers they're playing some kind of tough defenses here. The Seattle Seahawks, their defense kind of sucks. Then Minnesota next week, who's also defense, isn't kind of the stout force that most people are used to it being, that it usually is. And then the LA Rams going against Aaron Donald. So we'll have to see. Interesting test for the Packers these next few weeks. So hopefully get their offense in a groove, get hot at the right time. It doesn't matter how you're playing in September, October, November as much as it does in January and December. Okay, now let's get to some Seattle Seahawks previewing. Aaron Rodgers, he's coming back. We found out early this morning that he is activated from the COVID-19 list, or at least he's clear to. Hopefully the Packers don't forget to activate him to the roster.
Oh, boy.
But if they do, remember, he will be playing tomorrow against Seattle, whose team pretty much sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too crazy, but, man, just look at Jake Morley on Twitter. Look at the tweets he put out yesterday. He had a bunch of stats that, in short, said the Seahawks suck compared to the Packers at pretty much every single position besides maybe long snapper. Their long snapper might be better. We'll give them that. But Russell Wilson is just coming back from an injury. Granted, Aaron Rodgers is also coming back from an injury. He was asymptomatic, but at the same time, he hasn't practiced, worked out for 10 days. He's trying to ramp back up, as he said on Pat McAfee's show. But, COVID can possibly, just kind of take down his stamina. I don't know exactly how it affected his body or whatever, but he's pretty much asymptomatic for the last week. So hopefully he sees no physical problems tomorrow against Seattle.
Yeah,
So
hopefully his personal doctor, Joe Rogan, gave him that good medicine and stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully he's fully recovered now.
Yep.
So Aaron Rodgers, two quarterbacks coming back from injuries. Chris Carson for the Seahawks, who I think is pretty underrated. Great receiver out of the backfield, will be out. Seahawks will miss out yesterday.
Yep.
And so that's obviously big. And then the Packers, Eric Stokes. Is it Stokes that's doubtful? Or is it Bakhtiari that's doubtful?
Bakhtiari is doubtful.
Okay.
And Stokes is questionable.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Eric Stokes had a knee injury that he faced during warm-ups last week, so he was out all of that game. And then Bakhtiari, I'd be pretty surprised if he goes out there even this week. But then, hopefully, I want to see David Bakhtiari on that field again, please. I thought we were so close ever since he was back at practice, but we'll have to see. Hopefully, it'd be great if he's good to go against Seattle, but they might try to be a little cautious with him.
One more week.
One more week, maybe. Mom, but to be fair, I also haven't worked out in the last 10 days. I went on a walk yesterday, if that counts.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, I'm getting those gains in. But Matt Mamba and I, we obviously aren't playing an NFL game tomorrow. But, Aaron Rodgers on the same level as us on our workout schedules these past week. So yes, those are kind of the injuries going on. The Seahawks 3-5, like I mentioned, they've really struggled to get much going, and their offense is just a shadow, or their defense is a shadow of what it used to be. DK Metcalf is going to be a really good receiver. I unfortunately had to bench him tomorrow for fantasy. That is against my rules. That is against my morals to start a player in fantasy who is playing against the Packers. But last week, or the week before the bye, they're coming off a bye as well, so that's also a big thing. They beat the Jaguars 31-7. They lost to the Saints 13-10. Lost to the Steelers 23-20. Lost to the Rams 26-17. So that's the stretch that Russell Wilson is out for. But when Russell was in, they beat the 49ers 28-21. Lost to the Vikings 30-17. And lost to the Titans 33-30. So even when Wilson was in, they haven't had much luck. It really seems, just looking at kind of these scores as a light overview, with their defense just cannot stop much. Big B, who are you thinking? Who's the key player? This doesn't even have to be specific to what the Seahawks can or cannot do, but who is a key player for you tomorrow?
Key player. You know what? I'm going to go with everybody's favorite, Kevin frickin' King, all right? He played fantastic the last two games, really stepping it up when we need him the most. No shoulder tackles at all, which is a plus for me always, because I'm about to shoulder tackle my TV if I see that one more time from him. But yeah, Kevin King is just playing some good football recently.
Yeah, and that's going to be especially important. We need a good performance from the corners tomorrow because of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. It's been a while since the Packers have kind of had to deal with two pretty good wide receivers. Down Jair Alexander this past week against the Chiefs. They had Tyreek Hill and nobody else for the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes just isn't playing too well this year as well. So Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kevin Keene, Rasul Douglas, Eric Stokes, if he's good to go, gonna have to lock those two receivers down. For me, I think I'm gonna go with somebody among the offensive line, and I'm gonna say Royce Newman. Dude has played some either really good football for a fourth rounder or some really bad football. And he really struggled, especially last week against the Chiefs, with their constant pressures, constant blitzes they were sending.
Hey, okay, he didn't do terrible. He got his ass whooped. That's a better saying. He got his ass whooped.
So is that worse than playing terrible though?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. So okay. I just got a text that got my mind, got the gears turning. I'm thinking about a whole different world.
Boy.
But
Royce Newman.
Okay. Royce Newman. So he played bad against the Chiefs. Got absolutely manhandled by Chris Jones, yes, Frank Clark, everybody among the Chiefs front seven. And this is a great week for him to step it up. I probably should know this, but I don't know if Carlos Dunlap that the Seahawks traded for last year, if he was just like a little 8-game rental or if his contract was for multiple years. But I got the Seahawks roster pulled up here for a reason. So let's see.
There we go.
Carlos Dunlap still on the Seahawks roster, it appears. So he played some really good football last year after the Seahawks traded for him. A really good trade deadline acquisition. So Royce Newman, he's got to step it up. Good week for him because outside of Dunlap, there's really not too much going on for the Seahawks. Let me pull up our friend Jake Morley's tweets here because he had something about the total pressures that Seattle has had, and they're not that good because Rashawn Gary on the season has more total pressures than Seattle's whole group. Just an incredible stat.
Yeah, I did see that yesterday. That's funny.
Yeah. So Clark and Dean Lowry combined also have more total pressures than Seattle's entire group. So here we go. So the total pressures, Rashawn Gary has 42. The second closest on the Seahawks roster is Carlos Dunlap with 20. Then at third also for Seattle is Rasheem Green with 17, Preston Smith and Jonathan Garvin. Jonathan Garvin has more pressures than all but 2 Seattle Seahawks defensive linemen. Jonathan Garvin. I can't believe that Jonathan Garvin has 14 pressures. That's also kind of amazing.
That is.
But the offensive line, after facing some pretty tough defensive lines, facing a really aggressive blitzing team last week against the Chiefs, good week for them to step it up, especially Royce Newman to recover from a really bad performance. And I think it'll also be a good one for him. He's got some things to prove as to why he shouldn't be taken out when David Bakhtiari returns. And they can move Elton Jenkins, John Runyon, Lucas Patrick. They can move those guys around once David Bakhtiari returns. So Royce Newman, I'm counting on you, number 70. Big dirt. Also, one last thing I wanted to talk about, the injury report. And also kind of reviewing of last week's game. Kenny Clark went out in the second half, and that was a stellar performance from the Chiefs or the Packers defense last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Kenny Clark went out. You know who played really good football on that defensive line?
TJ Slayton.
TJ Slayton, the second coming of the Gravedigger. Maybe I shouldn't make that clear declaration yet, but number 93, man, absolute monster. He played really good. He made some flashy plays as well, which is kind of rare for defensive linemen. But I kind of expected him to play more of a role at this point in the season. But hopefully after some really good play in the second half of last week, he gets some more opportunities. Also saw Jack Heflin in there. And we'll see. Slayton will obviously be active, but we'll see if maybe the Packers want to be more limited with Kenny Clark. He was limited some days at practice, but he's good to go tomorrow against Seattle. So we'll have to see how that defensive line kind of who's in, who's out for them. So
it don't matter because we still got D. Lowry, baby.
Dean Lowry.
Yes, sir.
There could be all paper plates at defensive end, defensive tackle, outside linebacker, and Dean Lowry would still just be such a problem for opposing offensive lines. Dean, the machine, is just that incredible.
Yeah. Future Hall of Famer.
He's on pace at this point, man.
Yes.
So I think with that, I think that's all we got for you today. We really don't know much about Seattle because they suck. And their games haven't been exciting.
Yeah.
Packers should win this game by 30, 40, 50 points, man. Every time I say that, though, I get flashbacks to Saints week. And the Saints game, I don't need to say much about it, but the Saints game week 1 kind of changed my whole mindset and how I go about game previews. Because the Packers should have whooped them. On paper, we thought, okay, they don't have Drew Brees anymore. They're losing some players. They should, Michael Thomas is out. Packers should be doing absolutely incredible. It should be an easy win for the Packers, and obviously it wasn't. So, and I've kind of tried to be less cocky ever since. But
I blame it on Jacksonville and that stupid turf.
Yes.
I don't know if their turf is bad, but it's their turf. If it's good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But I'm telling you, man, on paper, once again, the Packers should absolutely dominate in this game. There's no reason they shouldn't. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to hand it off to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, just run through them. Aaron Rodgers returning. So I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. Big B, let's hear your score prediction.
Ooh, I haven't even thought of this yet. Oh my. Let's go. Let's go 31 30 burger, 31
Okay.
to 17.
Okay. I'm definitely feeling it in that range. That's kind of like how a majority of the Packers games have gone so far with the scores. Like,
Yes.
literally, if you look ever since like week 3, I think it is, the Packers have either scored 24 or 27 points. It's
Yeah.
really funny, somewhere in that range.
And
And-
last year we scored like in the 30s, I think, like almost every game last year.
I know.
So I'm just waiting for it to come back. I'm just waiting.
That streak was incredible. They were on the first few weeks of the season, like until the Buccaneers game in week 5 hit them like a train before their bye week. Like they
Yeah.
were putting up 40 points every week. I
Mhm.
really wish we got a 50 burger, but we didn't. But that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think the Packers will run away with this after the 3rd or 4th quarter, and they'll be able to put 30 on the Seahawks. I'll say 35-20.
All right.
That's all we got for you today. Hopefully, you enjoyed our Seattle Seahawks preview. We'll be back here tomorrow with some sort of content, either more preview content, review content. We'll be back here, so make sure you subscribe to the Underage Packers YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we'll see you later. Unless Big B has any final thoughts or any final Go Pack goes.
Go Pack Go.
There you have it, folks. We'll talk to you later. Let's get this win against Seattle and move on to 8-2. Continue our dominance of the